Can a scam so huge be kept a secret by so many people? We have reached the capstone of our nauseating COVID pyramid. We shall name the capstone M&M, Money and Murder in Hospitals. Here's what happened. Hospitals were given incentives, as in money, for each and every COVID casualty. According to whistleblowers, investigative journalists, lawyers and specialists, hospitals in the US have been receiving $13,000 for every admitted COVID patient. There have been financial extras for every COVID test, for every positive outcome. If patients were treated with the only prescribed drug, remdesivir, the hospital received yet another bonus. 20% of the entire hospital bill of the patient. Then, for every patient put on a ventilator, the hospital received $39,000. And if that patient officially died of COVID-19, they got yet another $13,000. That's a lot of money. According to attorney Thomas Renz and CMS whistleblowers, the hospitals receive approximately $100,000 per COVID casualty, if the above protocol was followed. Now the thing is, the American hospitals receive this money in advance, based on the COVID predictions, based on the flawed models of people like Birx. If the hospitals didn't actually meet those models, they had to pay that money back at a later stage. And we're talking millions of dollars here. So, what happened? Everybody who was admitted to a hospital, for instance because of a car accident, or because of cancer, or diabetes, or kidney failure, everybody got a PCR test to start with. Due to the ridiculous amount of cycles, there was an abundance of false positives. False positives equals positives, equals COVID patients, equals money. Hence the sudden rise in COVID patients. Then, remdesivir left its detrimental mark, just like midazolam had done in the UK. You see, remdesivir is not a new drug. It was used in 2018 during the West African Ebola outbreak. It was known to have severe adverse effects such as kidney damage, liver damage, and even death. Yet, in 2020, Anthony Fauci directed that remdesivir was to be the drug hospitals used to treat COVID-19. Hence the incentives. So, what happened next? Those poor patients only got worse, after which they were put on a ventilator. After all, that was yet another bonus of many thousands of dollars pouring straight into the pockets of the hospitals. Now, the problem with ventilators is that the patient is put into an induced coma. His or her breathing is taken over by a machine that puts extra pressure on the lungs, called baropressure. In the case of damaged lungs due to, for instance, pneumonia, those lungs will only get worse. They will not be able to deal with the increased pressure. The chances of that patient recovering, of being able to be taken off the ventilator and to start breathing by himself, are very, very small. Combined with organ failure as a result of remdesivir, the chances of that patient ever leaving the hospital alive are next to nothing.
There is a product which is proven to cause renal failure and hepatic injury. Doctors continue to give the product, causing more kidney injury. I have over 500 publications on kidney injury. I'm telling you, it contributes to death without a doubt. That is mass psychosis.
There's a financial incentive to call somebody COVID positive. The hospitals receive a bonus from the government if someone is hospitalized and able to be declared COVID positive. They also receive a bonus. I think the total is something like $30,000 in incentive if somebody gets put on the vent. Then they get a bonus if somebody is declared dead with COVID. So they have an incentive at the front end to declare somebody COVID case. The CDC made a determination that they were going to make a core assumption: if PCR positive and you die, that is death due to COVID. So the extreme example, just to show the absurdity, if the patient comes in with a bullet hole to the head and they do a nose swab and they come up PCR positive, they're determined to have died from COVID, when in fact they died from lead poisoning.
That's real?
Yeah.
So that it really is true that if someone has a gunshot wound and they're dying of that gunshot wound and you check them for COVID, and if they're COVID positive and they die, they mark that off as a COVID death.
That is by definition from the CDC. That was a decision that was made early on.
90% of the people put on ventilators died. 90%. You have a better chance with Russian roulette, literally. Okay?
Protocol.
That's a protocol. So listen, and not only is it a protocol, but they get paid to do it. A lot.